Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
There is a huge burden on you who became satellites. Try to understand that with what happened in Linz this week and with the first test, we have set a precedence for the whole change of the structure. Your child cries, he doesn't talk. You reach his soul, you understand where the pain is. You have a mentally handicapped child. You want to know how you can bring the change. You reach the soul. Does the physicality matter? Those of you who are beautiful people will come to understand, to see all the members of the family within the one physical structure. We shall see from what we saw this week, end of what I call, or the beginning to an end of the knowledge of what we build and nourished as prisons. We see an end to addiction. We see an end to criminality, and we see an end to kingship. We see the beginning of how we transmute people's soul, elevate them, nourish them, and like a dream you had, return back to them. What we saw this week in Linz, without a doubt, will bring massive changes to many of us. And as a head of Keshe Foundation and responsible for setting up the One Race Planet, as I have agreed before I arrived here, will endeavor to bring that as fast as possible to be applicable, that it brings a positive change. The world is going through a position of mayhem, not knowing uncertainty, and this uncertainty is creating more problems in the coming months and years. And we are here to use it to change the course of peace. We are not standing for elections. We are not standing to interfere with powers. We elevate the soul of the man in a very massive way. Now there are physical systems, and it can be shown, and it will be developed for all levels of understanding. This process of transmutation of the soul and transmutation of the soul of physicality, which is confirmed this week, will bring us many, many changes. Will bring us amazing amount of changes. I hope, as human race, as knowledge seekers, you understand what you have entered into and what you have brought to be, and what is about to come, and how much change it will come and bring for all of us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 452nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 29th, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be host once again in these weekly Knowledge Seekers Workshop series. And once again, we are fortunate to have Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation to be present to deliver today's teaching and news from the Keshe Foundation and the world of plasma science. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin today?
Yes, good morning and good day to you, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Knowledge Sharing. We welcome you back. We welcome you back, greatly in understanding of what is to come. We saw the first steps into transmutation of the energies, or we call soul, or energies within inner man, physical body. How we have managed to expand it. And as I said last week, we saw a couple going through it. And this week, we had another couple, a father and daughter, and it brought another confirmation to how close we have become to the final destiny or destination of full transmutation. As I said, we need you to come in, that we perfect our systems, bring what we call finality, eventuality to it. And every time some of you come in, we learn. We test different ways, we understand more. And this week we had literally 2 days of testing on transmutation, different combination, couples, friends, strangers, in a group of a small and big, with strangers present, which have nothing to do with the transmutation, to see if we can operate in those kind of systems. We are testing everything which could be a point of learning or point of what we call avoiding not to do. This week, we are going to look at first to the recording of the first couple last week, where they explain what they went through. This recording was made 2 times. You're now listening to the second time of it, when it was done hours after, where the first session has a lot of noise and voice problems, but we have both. We decided we play the second session and just listen to it. This is time the emotion of coming out of the system has gone. It's more logical, and I explained to you some of it last week. And then we listen to one of the recordings, one of the what we call process of this week. And we learned a lot this week. And by the look of it, we are not very far from a full transmutation. Yesterday's test with our friends from Holland, the father and daughter, brought a massive step forward. We got to, as I explained before, realize we have many controls over different aspects of the transmutation. We allow transmutation of the soul. We can allow the transmutation of the soul of physicality. We can allow the transmutation of the physical dimension, but the dimension of the soul, and not the physical dimension. And we done that this week. We had one more or less, as I said, one switch away for full transmutation. But it's too soon. We have not done, as I said, to our knowledge seekers, we want to have the whole body across, not pieces of it. And this will come and just bring a lot of knowledge to us. Some of you might not understand the gravity of these 2 tapes, but if you're involved and you set systems up the way we do, you understand it's a massive change. To you, it's just a voice. To us, it's 40 years of research and development. And when somebody speaks that I felt, or I told, held, you can't do it in the normal way. Scientists for centuries have tried this. Now, theory has become a technology, and it needs to be fine-tuned. We had yesterday 2 strangers met for the first time, most probably at the UNO Center. We put them in the system. And strange enough, one could pass an orange to the other side. And for the first time, the other side could feel he has received it, he could touch it. He could feel, he thought it's a lemon, or an orange, but he decides it's going to be a lemon. And the other guy has actually sent an orange. Nobody told them to do anything. It was the decision of one on his own, in one machine, sending with thoughts through the soul an object. And the other side, in the other machine, has actually had a feeling of, what as he said to us, they're going to record it, they're going to come back next week, and they record it, maybe we can share it with you next week, that he felt he received knowledge, and he was too busy with too many things in his head, and he was trying to do too many things in the machine. And so we have gone to the step of transmuting matter state in the dimension of the soul, which is another breakthrough, which means now we can send your suitcase with you too. When we send you up the moon, you will not turn up naked, but I don't know if anything in that suitcase will be any use to you. because you've transmuted. You need 2 extra armholes and 4 extra arm legs, and legs and arms together and different height and shape. So my advice to the travelers of the future to space is just don't pack anything, because there are no tailors there to adjustment, and most probably part of your suit or your clothes you took or a toy you took in the environment of the new plasma will take a different shape or would not materialize, because in that environment such a material cannot be manifested. So we are entering another breakthrough. We are entering in the process of explaining, delivering, and showing to you what is to come, what is going to be. The couple you see on the sofa, as if you remember last week, they are been together for 40-odd years, married for 39 years. The gentleman has had a heart condition before, recently. And don't forget that we will follow this in the next few weeks, few months, to see what happened to them, what was actually the eventuality of the experience. But listen to this very carefully. This is something like they went in early sessions, and this is actually after the sessions for that. They finished by 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And they had time to sit, to think. Emotions has changed. The original one we still have. We can show it today. We try to transcribe it and then translate it. And Mario does most of the translation as it is. The subscriptions of transcribing is, and translations for those of you who might have a problem when it's done in pieces by the general community, with the help of our team in Romania. You will see it, hear it, look at the emotions. The transmutation has touched the soul, has touched the physicality, which creates the emotion even hours after going through. When I spoke with them when they came out, the feeling and the emotion and the explanation of how the female part explained she could feel the vibration on the left side of the heart or the right heart side, and it's very precise. It's a German precise language with it. We listen to it, if we can play it, and then we come back, and then we go to listen to the other one, which we give an option to our knowledge seekers if they want to go on camera, or they can go on voice. And I think this is one of the very first voice recordings we have on an MP3 for the father and daughter, beautiful couple from the, what we call the land of birth of Keshe Foundation. Would you like to play it? Then we listen to the other part.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I think humanity has just experienced something wonderful. Thank you both. Dankeschön.
Sagt noch, die Menschheit gerade hat etwas Schönes gerade erfahren.
Genau.
Danke. Thank you very much for being present for this explanation of your experience in the Flight Enhancement Unit. If you'd like to share with us in your language how you've experienced today in your own words and understandings. Dankeschön.
Bitte.
Ja, vielen Dank für euren Erfahrungsbericht, und wenn du so nett wärst und in deiner eigenen Sprache, nach deiner eigenen Art erzählst, was du erlebt hast in der Einheit.
Also wir haben heute die Einheit benutzen dürfen, ich und mein Mann. Ich bin die Heike und das ist der Uli. Und meine Empfindung in diesem System war, dass mein Körper durchflutet wurde. Man hat genau gemerkt, wo irgendwas arbeitet, wo was warm geworden ist. Und zeitweise hatte ich auch mal so den Eindruck, dass der Körper wie nach oben geschnipst ist und konnte von oben wieder runter gucken, wie so ein Turm, so ähnlich. Und ich guckte auf die Erde und dann wusste ich, schwupp, war ich wieder unten. Und das war so ungefähr vor dem Kabelgeben. Und dann hatten wir, wie gesagt, mit dem Herrn Keshe noch einen anderen Test. Das war das Kabel.
Wussten wir aber nicht.
Das war uns, also mir war das nicht bekannt. Und er gab mir das in die linke Hand und dann bemerkte ich nach kurzer Zeit, dass das Herz auf der linken Seite speziell warm wurde und auf der rechten kam das nach und wurde auch leicht warm, aber links war es dominanter. Und in dieser ganzen Zeit bemerkte ich auch, dass es bei mir die linke Seite mehr Resonanz zeigte. Ja, also ich bin überwältigt, was alles so in dem Körper vor sich ging und diese Eindrücke von mir. Ich muss sagen, ich war nicht bloß begeistert, diese Gefühle kann man gar nicht ausdrücken, die im ersten Moment da waren. Und ich übergebe das mal an meinen Mann, dass er jetzt sich dazu äußert.
Also, guten Tag, ich bin der Uli. Ich kam ins System, war sehr aufgeregt. Emotional aufgeregt. Die erste Zeit, die erste Reise, sage ich mal, habe ich in Ruhe, nachdem ich einen gewissen Mantel der Aufregung abgelegt hatte, kam ich in ein weißes Licht. Das Blut perlte, kochte. Und ich habe abgehoben und war im Nirgendwo. Oder im Irgendwo war ich. Nach einer gewissen Zeit, ich weiß nicht, die Zeit verlierst du da drin, du hast keine Emotionen und keine Zeitgefühle, kam Herr Keshe zu mir und gab mir auch so einen Draht in die linke Hand und flüsterte zu mir, ich weiß, das hat nur zu mir gesagt, schick deiner Frau irgendwas. Ihr merkt, ich bin noch emotional sehr gerührt. Ich habe ja dann, was mir einfiel, Worte, nee, brauchst du nicht, Licht und Liebe geschickt. So, das war der zweite Teil meiner Reise. Und dann bin ich wieder weggetreten ins Irgendwo. Ich war aber zufrieden. Ich war irgendwo. Und im dritten Teil, muss ich sagen, der fiel mir sehr schwer. Ich musste zurück. Der Herr Keshe kam und sagte, bitte komm zurück ins Hier und Jetzt. Ich glaube, er merkte, dass ich irgendwo war. Und wie das dann zu Ende war, sind wir raus, haben uns hingesetzt und dann teilte er uns mit, persönlich, dass wir ein Teil eines Experimentes waren. Die ersten als Partner. Und dazu muss ich sagen, hat er gefragt, wie lange wir uns kennen. Oder ich dachte, naja, wir kennen uns 45 Jahre und sind 39 Jahre verheiratet. Hat er gesagt, gute Auswahl. Und hat erzählt, dass ich meiner Frau verschicken konnte, aber sie, also es war ein One-Way, also eine Einbahnstraße ähnlich, aber nicht sie zu mir antworten konnte, ob sie es erhalten hat oder nicht. Und da habe ich gedacht, wieso? Meinte er, ja, das ist Teil eines Experimentes, wo wir teilnehmen durften. Und er sagt, das geht dann auch irgendwann später gegenseitig, von Geben und Nehmen. Und ich muss sagen, dass auch noch Stunden nach diesem Erlebnis brauchst du, um das zu begreifen, dass man sowas erleben darf in dieser Tiefe und Emotion, war für mich einmalig. Danke.
Thank you, Shane. I can see there was a lot of emotion there. Mariam, can you explain to me just an overview so that I can ask a couple of questions, please?
Yeah, the special thing that happened here is that Mr. Keshe made an experiment with them without them knowing. And they are the first people doing this kind of transmutation experience. And what Mr. Keshe did is that he wanted him to be able to send her emotions, and not just emotions. Mr. Keshe explained that that the soul was opened, but then also the soul of the body, so that she can feel it physically. And that's exactly what she described, that she felt the warmth and the feeling in the heart, or the left side of the heart. And this is the first time this kind of transmutation happened. The last part, the physicality itself, the body itself, this was still stopped, so the system wasn't programmed to do that. So it wasn't to teleport the body, basically, but only to first the soul, and then also the soul of the physicality. And yeah, that's what Mr. Keshe did with them, and with the wire in the hand, connected them. And the interesting thing about this is that this was a one-way trip. So the system wasn't set up for her to send something. This is what she explained. She tried to reach him, but she couldn't. But he could reach her. And this is the system is built for going from one to the other unit, and not the other way around. And that's why she couldn't reach him, but he could reach her. And this is exactly what happened.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you for explaining that to me. So I can see there were lots of emotions, and this connection, as you say, was one way. So how did you send your informations through this energy flow?
Wie hast du diese Information durch diesen Energiefluss, wie hast du das gesendet?
Ja, erstmal, wenn du sowas gesagt bekommst, du bist ja in diesem System, dir geht's gut. Und da musst du so eine schwere Aufgabe lösen. Was machst du da? Und da habe ich mir ganz einfach gesagt, du schickst dir übers Herz Licht und Liebe.
Über die Gedanken, ne?
He said that in that situation where he was feeling really good, it was a hard task to decide what to send her. And then he thought that words are not enough, and that's why he thought about sending her love and light.
Okay. So how long have you known each other before you went into this experience? How long have you been together?
Wie lange kanntet ihr euch schon, bevor ihr das gemacht habt?
Circa 45 Jahre.
45 years, and they're married for 39 years.
Richtig, ja.
Very beautiful. And that deep connection, that soul connection that you've had through when you first met to this moment now, does it feel like this experience, in this moment, do you feel more connected? Is there any difference?
Also ihr habt ja eine Verbindung, ihr seid ein vieljähriges Ehepaar. Habt ihr das Gefühl, dass diese Erfahrung, die ihr jetzt gemacht habt, eure Bindung zueinander auf eine Weise verändert hat?
Nee, nur gefestigt.
Gefestigt.
Verstärkt.
Ist, ja.
Verstärkt. Und
It strengthened the relationship.
wir werden auch das ohne diesem Gerät probieren, denn wir sind ja noch im System angebunden und wir werden öfters versuchen, dass man eben auch ohne Worte kommunizieren kann. Oder sich
They will
Gedanklich.
try to use the same technique without the system from home, and now that they know how it works, and then to do it without it.
ja.
And still they are connected to the system. So.
Yeah, you're always connected. Thank you for that. That's a wonderful explanation of what is actually taking place in there. Are you planning to come back, or is this a one-time trip?
Ja gut, wir planen auf jeden Fall nochmal herzukommen.
Yeah. So they are planning to come back.
Allein wegen dem System und wegen der schnellen Entwicklung, was eben in sich steht.
Yeah. Because of the fast development and the system itself.
Und wir werden Kontakt mit Mario bleiben, indem man auch sagt, pass auf, es gibt was Neues, könnt kommen, könnt gucken, weil wir kommen aus Südthüringen, aus Deutschland, aus der Spielzeugstadt Sonneberg. Und das ist immer noch eine Frage, meine Frau arbeitet, ich bin Rentner, dass wir das auch gemeinsam tun können dann, dass es effektiv wird, dass wir auch hier das Erlebnis alleine wird mir das nichts bringen, müssen wir gemeinsam haben.
Yeah, that's something they want to do again together.
on another planet? What environment were you in? Were you aware?
Die Umgebung, in der du warst, während ihr in dieser Einheit warst, wie hast du dich gefühlt und was für eine Umgebung war das? Hast du das Gefühl, du bist auf der Erde? Bist du irgendwo anders?
Ich kann ja nicht sagen, wo ich war. Ich war im Irgendwo. Es ist nicht definiert, dass ich sage, ich habe die Sterne gesehen oder die Erde von Weitem gesehen. Ich war in einem Raum, wo ich mich sehr, sehr wohl gefühlt habe.
He cannot say where he was. He describes it as he was in the somewhere. It wasn't specific, like he didn't see any stars or something like that, but he was feeling really well.
So physically, you were on the physical side, and you were sending to the soul of your beautiful wife. So did you feel it physically, and your wife felt it on a tangible soul level?
Du hast ja ihr etwas geschickt.
Ja.
Wie hast du das empfunden? Hast du das auf einer Seelenebene empfunden oder hast du das auch auf einer körperlichen Ebene empfunden? Das, was du sendest?
Mehr auf einer seelischen Ebene, also auf der gedanklichen Ebene, der seelischen Ebene.
On the soul or on the thought level?
Ja.
For both of you?
Ja.
So it was on a soul level?
Ja.
Für dich, wie war das für dich, das Empfinden? Auf welcher Ebene?
Körperlich.
She felt it
Für mich war es
in the
körperlich.
body.
You felt it physically in the body?
Yes.
And that's the whole point. That's
Yeah,
what
that
the
was the
system
whole
was set
point,
up
yeah,
to do.
Okay. Wonderful. I think that's all the questions for now, because we had a slight problem with the microphones. And so thank you very much, both of you, for being present and explaining that. It's a beautiful testimony, and thank you so much for being present in this moment.
Danke.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mario. Thank you both.
Vielen Dank für den
Danke.
schönen
Thank you.
Erfahrungsbericht.
Danke.
Thank you very much, Rick. This is what will come to us, that, as the lady said, I felt it physically. We time this.
Dankeschön for being present. If you can share your experience.
Can you, Proctor? We time this. Is not random. We control when the soul transmutation comes, and we inform them. We try to keep very quiet, don't do anything in this session with them. And that everything is through the soul level. Opposite to this, which was done last week, this week, in some trials, we allow the soul transmutation. Then we allowed the people into systems to talk to each other. I'm sending you an orange. We want to know if the other side feels orange, tastes orange. I send you a cake. If you see the cake, if you eat the cake. So the time, if you remember when we started, you couldn't take anything in, you had to go with everything off, and then as we developed, now the only thing we don't need that's in is what we call electronics. And I'm sure soon that'll be overcome. And now we allow people to talk to each other. It's like on the phone. I'm sending you by post cake or a gift for your birthday. Now, do you see that? As I said, the gentleman sent him an orange. He feels orange. We can keep the body in one system, but send the gift to be approached and collected on the other side. Instantaneous posting. We tested this yesterday deliberately in 2-3 systems, with 2-3 different groups this week, and it works. We hear one of the knowledge seekers talking about it next week. And you hear in a second MP3 recording of today of the father and daughter, they see the images of what the other side said. Feel the emotion physically in popping ears. And then it comes to the point How do we translate these emotions? You got to remember, you stand to give a lecture with 1,000 people in the room, and if you understand this way of working, 1,000 people are looking at you, thanking you, shouting at you in their head, load of rubbish, what a beautiful knowledge, and they're all coming to you. Up to now, you had a silent physical body in front of you. The thoughts was in their head. What a beautiful dress. Oh, couldn't she comb her hair? Oh, look, the lipstick has gone a little bit far. Oh, look at that one, the guy, the tie is crooked. They think about it. But now with this opening of understanding of connecting to the soul, one day they realize you listen to their soul. And out of nowhere, you put the tie right, and then you clean the lipstick. And oh, my hair, the guy's looking at it, somewhat wrong there. Or do we become selective and we target at the guy's looking at me, what does he think about me? Oh, I like to take her out for a dinner. Oh, I like to go out for a dinner. When you walk out, you both go for a dinner. This is the reality which is now is in our hand. It's not theory, it's a technology. And it's not for you to maybe to dream, but you plan where you want to go when the physical body rests, where you send the soul to work till the physical gets up. I have this communication with one of our knowledge seekers. One of our knowledge seekers has and is deciding this, and she does that very well. Apparently, we're getting to know more and more. She decides, I'm going to bed. Who I'm going to have a meeting with, I need to talk. And she gets it right every night or most of the time. Now, because they've been through the system, the soul has developed to understand it's out. It's out of the shape of the physicality. Yesterday, with one of our knowledge seekers again, old knowledge seekers, a couple came, and we could clearly discuss how he saw his soul. We spoke about the light at the leg last week. We spoke about people feeding in a bubble. This gentleman, he is an old knowledge seekers, the couple, and they have, according to them, enough maggraph systems and enough things they know everything about and how they watch television. It was so beautiful to listen to this couple. It was amazing how knowledge seekers develop their own ways. And he could tell us that he could see a foggy thing in front of him when the soul expanded. So interaction of the field of the soul, he could explain to us exactly how the fogginess was. If you remember, you go back on other teachings, we had knowledge seekers who talk, we told you, we talk to them, but they don't see us. And now we see, explained by old hand in the teachings, that he can explain to us how exactly happened to him. He cannot see his fingers. And strange enough, the wife cannot see herself in the mirror. When she puts a mirror in front of her, when the soul expands. And so we have knowledge seekers who are testing and doing, and they come to the system and they can confirm that's the expansion of the soul and how and what they see. And interesting enough, we have received a request from one of the knowledge seekers who are our volunteers, the first couple going to moon, that they would like, after 30 years of whatever marriage, having a child, they would like to have a child of soul to be created. And it's on the card. We're looking at it. Possibility of creating the first child on the moon through the interaction of the soul is not out of hand, is not out of reach. That our first couple, we will have the first child of the moon. We have a look at it. Possibilities, feasibilities, and the consequences of 30 years down the line with the child to be born. Extension of the life to 200 years, that we just don't bring a life for a short time. This is now a reality of science and technology. This is what we have in our hand. We have managed step by step as a space organization, and you as the members of the space organization, to develop together a new technology where the man does not need another man to take him somewhere. Man takes himself around in physical dimension through the soul, and when he gets there, he puts the soul in and take him around in a physical condition if he likes to. The beauty of this is that in the coming time, when we reach this time of transmutation, we allow you to do it walking within the space room. What does this mean? In the trials to go for a full transmutation, we tried it yesterday with 3 people this week. We allow 5 or 6 of you in the room. And we allow you to talk to each other through your soul, create that environment in the dome. And we want to see, what did you hear from that soul? What was that soul? Some souls get instruction to do something with the transmutation of the soul, and see how the others perceive it, what they receive, and what they react to it. Or I just want to send to that person, and the other 4 are not privy to it. This is what is coming till we go for a full transmutation. We understand everything, that we adjust our systems, we set our systems. Our team are relentlessly every week. When you come in from, we finish on Wednesday till next Tuesday, do all sorts of things, having things in and putting new bits in, new controls out, new switches. It gets, you literally, it's a technology in development while you are the volunteers. And it's beautiful, especially this week and last week, the ones who come, they say we come here to add to the knowledge. But if you get something with it, it's nice. But we want to be part of it, that you learn and you can develop, that others can benefit by it. This is truly what we see most of the knowledge seekers. We are here to serve. And it's a lot of burden. Some of these people travel for hours, for days. The couple yesterday, the father and daughter, they could take a flight from Holland to Austria, but the problem in the airport can be, and they could not be certain that they get the flight, they'll be here for their time. They drove for 10 hours one way. And the father says, I just came here to add to the knowledge, to participate, that we did. But this is the ways that have been made the nation of Dutch. Always been pioneers. And we see this that is coming on. And how it comes. We transmuted the love of the husband and light of the husband in the physical dimension of the heart and emotion in the wife, physically. Where we allow the transmutation of the soul, and we allow the transmutation of soul of physicality. When he arrives, it imprints. It's like physically kissing on the lips, and the way a lady goes potty. The love is there, and the touch is there. And this is what we see in this emotion. And the interesting thing is, an amazing part, if you understand what's coming up in the MTV3 between the father and daughter, listen before the interview starts. They did not know that the microphone was on, and you hear the father. And people go through life-changing emotions. And in a way, the sincerity and closeness, and how they perceive and how they arrive. And what is the next thing? For the first time, you hear the gentleman speaks on the microphone behind, that he feels that his body is opening up, every cell is expanding physically, which means we just went to pre-transmutation, and that's where we wanted it to stop. We did not switch to full transmutation. So we have shown for the first time, when we speak to people who've gone through it, they feel that separation of the cell. They feel that separation, lightness and openness, ready for making the cells as being a solid to energies that they can be transmuted. And this gentleman clearly states, and I know exactly where I switched the machine on and how he feels it. And the most interesting thing is that we dictate, control that time. If you come into the flight room, you see I have a lot of switches and buttons available to me. I can decide if I send the plasma, I can decide if I send the matter, I can decide in every level how and the way I want to send it. Rick, if you can play the MP3 interview and then use the scene as it is. And just play the MP3 behind it, please.
Yeah, yes, just so people, you mean to just play the, it's just
the voice.
Yeah, just the voice. It's just so people know that the image won't be changing and it'll be a constant image, but we'll hear the audio.
Yeah.
See, make sure my settings are correct. Yes.
Let's just so we give the people option if they want to go on camera or voice recording. Some people don't want to do either, and they just write the what we call the experience.
And you might want to interrupt and comment at some point, Mr. Keshe, because it is like 17 minutes long altogether.
Let's listen to it and we'll see.
Okay.
I come at the end, and if people notice, we have a lot of problem with microphones. All of them work, but somehow we don't know how, or people don't know how to control it in the back room that all record. And especially in this one is recording, and if you're distance from it, but they think all the three records. So our team are going through learning of how to use the microphone. So you saw it in the other one. We have all the facilities, the best in the world has been bought. It's just that we need to learn how to use them for our recording side. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Shaky. Okay. Good.
Okay. You've just had your flight experience together inside the unit, the flight experience room. Would you, if you can introduce yourselves, and then you can give us your explanation of what you've just experienced and gone through collectively and individually within your the environment of the flight room.
Okay. I'm Martin from Holland, and I'm the father of Tessa, my daughter. Mr. Keshe said to us in which system you want to go into, and he looked at her and she said, I want in the right one. So I went in the left one. So I was the captain and she was the passenger. She sat in the front of the right one, I sat in the front of the left one. And there we sat for a while. I was feeling a little anxious, excited is a better word. When I came here, she was a little bit more anxious.
Yeah.
then excited, both maybe. My feeling of excitement faded just by being here in the center. I became more relaxed, and when I went into the system, it faded completely within, I don't know, 10 minutes. I was not aware of time, so I don't know. It's you? How was your feeling?
Yeah, I'm Tessa, I'm the daughter of Martin. I felt a bit anxious at first, like high in my breathing. And when I was in there, I was like feeling the same thing, but maybe more relaxed over the time, but not immediately, not within 10 minutes, but like more at the end. And yeah, so I was in the passenger seat, and I was feeling or sensing some sort of things. Like my dad told me he had to send me some things as a love, or he sent me my mother and Bali because we went to Bali together. And I was feeling those things as well, but I didn't know he sent me those because he didn't told me. But like when we talking afterwards, he told me he sent me those things, and I really felt them as well. I also felt his hand on my left knee, so like the warmth of his hand. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Keshe asked me, did you propose her, ask her to go somewhere? I said, well, I had some thoughts about going to the moon, going to Mars or Venus, but then also I thought maybe we can go to Bali or to your mother, or even underwater. Where do you want to go? I asked her in my mind. And these things she sensed as well.
And when he told me about the water, like I heard Mr. Keshe say things to him, but I didn't know what he said. But when he told my dad and he went out of the room, I felt my ears popping, like I was on the water, but I didn't know he told me to, but I felt it.
So there were some things, connections, but she was not ready to go. So we went nowhere, and we just were staying here. And overall I felt very comfortable and peaceful and even light, but not extremely. I've heard many testimonials which were far more extreme, but I did not have that. It was almost like it felt naturally. It felt quite normal. When I came out, I felt more tinglings, especially in my knees and my legs, and a little bit more emotional. Not at first, but by talking to Mr. Keshe, you feel more emotion coming out, or trying to come out, and I'm just trying to control it. Even now when I'm speaking, I'm sort of trying to keep control over it, but I feel a little bit wobbly. If you say that's what you say in English, right? Yeah, a little bit wobbly, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good explanation, yeah. So, were you aware of each other in, was this on a level, on another dimensional level, a soul level, or were you physically aware of each other, the interaction?
This was more on a soul level. We were and we were testing if we could send over things like a red rose or a flower or an orange or an apple pie, and if we could taste it to each other, and it only worked from the left system to the right, but not the other way around, because that's how they are connected, one way. So that was confirmed in a way. And I don't know what you experienced exactly.
So when the one that was sitting in the captain chair, so the left one, we talked to each other afterwards, and we explained to each other what we felt. So when the one was in the left one, the one in the right could sense like the orange. So the one on the right one could sense the orange and could really feel it or sense it.
Or see it.
But when it was the other way around, so the one was in the right one, she'd sent it to the left one, but it didn't work, so he didn't receive it.
When she said in the left one, she sent me apple pie. And we both like apple pie because she makes it herself as well. That was very easy to sense because it's not so difficult. It's very easy to imagine. And afterwards she sent me coffee, and I must say it was just a split of a second that I really tasted it. But it was just a split of a second. It's not like now, but just like...
Did you enjoy that?
Well, it was very short. It was really a millisecond, maybe, but it was like a taste of coffee.
So you both, just to clarify, you both went either side of the systems. You both experienced both sides.
Yes, but yes.
Okay. Was there one side you enjoyed more?
I enjoyed the captain's side more. The chair was also a little bit comfortable.
Yeah,
more comfortable.
So the chair made a difference.
Yes, the chair in the right system is like, because you bump your head against. So you have to sit like this, and the other one you can sit straight, like a captain.
I was feeling more tensed in the right one.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
that's a physical explanation. But yes, it felt good in the captain's seat. It's like it felt like you're in control or something. I don't know.
I felt better in the left one as well.
So so it felt better to be in control.
I don't know if that's the right word, but it feels like, this is my seat, or this is okay.
So we were speaking about on a soul level, and it was still, the words in the physicality come out as it's better to be in control.
I don't know. I'm not like a control freak. I don't want to be like that kind of a person, but it felt more, maybe comfortable is a better word than control. It felt okay.
It felt fine,
I don't like the word control actually that much, although you need to control some things in physical life, of course, like yourself or anything, but
And so this experience, is this your first experience?
Yes. It's my first time, our first time here in Linz.
Okay, so your physical condition before you went in? Was there any conditions that you were finding difficult?
Only my emotion, like I told you, I was a little excited and unsure. When I came out physically, I felt a little wobbly, like I told you, and a tingling sensation in my legs and especially my knees. And after talking to Mr. Keshe, while talking to Mr. Keshe, I felt more emotional, which I wasn't really realizing up until that moment. But now I'm realizing it very much. Even talking now, I'm trying to stay under control of my emotions.
I want this interview to be about yourselves, not. But there's an experience that I had yesterday. There's some paintings upstairs, and two of the paintings were put either side. I walked between them, and I felt this tingling sensation in my lower half of my body up to my knees. And then you go and say this.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to understand the soul interactions, connection. Between all the interactions, more and more and more.
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, you hear a lot and you experience a lot. And I think just by being here in this center is also giving you connection.
Most definitely. Thank you, Martin. That's wonderful. Is there any other last comments you'd like to say to anybody?
Come to Linz. Take the experience or become a satellite cell. That's all I want to say.
Thank you very much. So was there anything you'd like to say?
Don't be anxious, just let it be in the moment.
Let it flow.
Yeah.
Let it happen. Thank you both very much for that. Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
When he speaks about tinkling in the body and everything, there was one more switch and it would but we're not ready yet for it. We have to listen. But that we're expected to feel that interaction. It's a three-phase when you move a body. And the last phase has three parts. We put him in the last phase of the three parts. So next guy somewhere will go for the second part and the third guy will fly over to the other side. But it's the first time when we hear that tingling is where we actually set you up to feel. Your parts are literally coming apart, your pieces that are really...
Yes,
it's just emotion of movement.
Yeah, it's like feeling space. Is that the right word?
This expansion of the physical.
You feel space, spacey.
In the body.
Like a space cake.
The space, that's what it is. It's literally then transferring literally one point to another.
Yes, and I'm feeling it more and more. Like while talking about it, yes, just let all things settle down, you feel this more.
Of this looseness.
This looseness, yeah.
We have to loosen you to ship it, that's all.
Yes. Probably.
You're the first one we put through the first phase.
Okay, nice.
So, because we've done the soul of physicality, which she felt through with a physical presentation. It's just that last phase which everybody's waiting for.
Yeah.
But we have to test it. We know we can't send you half of your
That's why I came.
backpack.
Yeah, well, that's why I came.
We don't want to leave the left arm behind.
People in Holland were anxious if I could be still in one piece or.
No, yes, it's one piece, but
Yeah.
we still feel that tightness.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
As we heard that we are on the final phases of bringing in a new way for man to transmute, for man to think, for man to communicate, for man to travel the depth of space. And as I told to Dean early this morning, these recordings are the pioneering recordings. In the time to come, they'll be most valuable recordings that the first man ever could feel the opening of the cells before transmutation. Will be analyzed in different ways, what could be done or what has been done, or the way we saw with the couple. These recordings will become icon recordings of future scientists of the Keshe Foundation, how and where and what happened with so many things were touched but they were not explained and the rest of it. But at the moment we are concerned with how we going to expand the borders of the knowledge of the man about himself. In the next couple of weeks, as you've seen us in the past, we follow the same procedures because proven procedures for us is the basis of our work. You saw us bringing the chairs 1, 2, and 3, and then going to one unit. And then we started with the left unit, and then we opened the second unit. Now we went from the left unit to go only to the right unit. Next time we'll go from the right unit to the left unit and we open them both. And by the time we gather this knowledge, 2 new systems are getting built next 2 or 3 weeks. That is the universal system. Universal system of that we can choose the gravity, magnetic field, the environment of the destination, and then we can move the being to fit into that what we call environment. The new systems coming into operation are extremely advanced, but as usual, they're not the final point. They're a stepping stone towards the next step to gathering the knowledge. But they are what we call cornerstones of the future transmutation transportation. It's once they come into operation, once they get installed, we'll see a different environment, not only in the flight room, but at that point we will touch most of the UNO exhibition center. The fields will go beyond the boundaries of the building, and we will see changes. We will see, as you've seen with your glances, more birds flying, more people coming to the center. We see people sitting on the fringes of the building and finding what we call peace. And this process will be transmuted to what we call the satellite souls, which are registering in sulfate. And then we start the process of world peace, process of what we call for mankind to be ready to take that final step to become a man of peace. And the beautiful part of this will be that we are all involved in it. We are all part of it. And we're getting a lot of knowledge that is getting translated into technology, that technology will bring the changes. That technology will bring the understanding of the creation. In a very simple way, in the recording, you must have heard, you must have felt, or you must have understood a simple word, very touching, but is what we were waiting for. The daughter says, I could feel the touch of my father on my knee. Which means we received the confirmation of the transmutation of the soul of physicality. In the other one, we heard about the feeling in the heart, in the left and the right side, and that part of the recording is there. One day we play it when our technology changes and we can take a lot of noise out of it and add to it. And you will see that we can even transfer the emotion of the physical soul, touching of a father, loving you with the daughter. These are the breakthroughs that we are looking for. These are the confirmation of the systems that we are looking for, that we can expand on. We play with a lot of gadgets, but we understand more how the system works. In the coming time, your next slot next week, we have a beautiful combination next week. I'm really looking forward to our flight system next week. There are people we had before when the system was in its initial stages. They're coming back. It's a beautiful combination of two partners, a pair of partners, and we see the combination because from each partner there's a brother and a sister. So we have a brother and sister in the system with their partners. And how we will transmute these people, 4 people from one to another, how we'll transmute the emotion of one partner with the other one while it's with the other machine, this will bring us, this is going to be a 5 or 6 hours of absolute, what I call bliss. That we can bring the whole dimension to their place. And this couple, both of them are so light and so bubbly, very young. And you can learn a lot from them. This is a couple, if you remember, we talked about it, that one felt like a mermaid and trying to get the others to swim, and the other one. So we're getting people who have experienced it. We're getting a lot of people who come in second, third time to see, to feel, and to develop further. Then we see if we can try to bring a emotion amongst the siblings and the partners. The interesting part will be what will come out of this room at the end of the transmutation. Emotionally, physically. How, as we saw in the first recording, the couple feel much different, and in the relationship, and in the whatever they have between each other. And we want to see how this will interact between the partners and the brother and sister. If you're a family of 4, father and mother and children, come together. We want to see this. We have to learn it. We have to see if we set, without you knowing, one of you to do something which the others don't want to do, then we want to see how the souls react. Would they pull together? Would they stay together? Or one of you disappears in the depth of space, you go to Mars and the rest of you go to the moon. Home alone child on the Mars. How are we going to get you back? How are we going to bring the family back together? These are the things we have to learn before we go into the final phase. It is rather, as I said, to you, a lot of talk, but to us, evolution in science and technology, and what we see. These are not actors and actresses, these are the people. This is you who come in to add to the knowledge. We need many, many more. A lot of people are switching just to be satellite. I can't complete to become a satellite till I finish in owner center. We need a lot of you to come from all over the world and be there, registered and come in, that you go through the trials of what we call transmutation. Some of you come in with the idea of that transmutation, oh, I'll go from one unit. No, these are trials. These are there till we develop and we complete. And we do it through the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation. And everything is as it is, as real as it comes. And it's you who speaks, it's you who records. And that's what is the important part to all of us. That we can add to the knowledge, we can bring that change. We can come to the point that how it is going to be. And how fast as human race we are going to bring this change about. Don't forget, once we actually finish the final product, we'll go into mass production. And what would be the condition? In the next few weeks, I'll invite knowledge seekers while we are testing through their wish, through their what we call soul, to bring into the center the soul of one of the world leaders. This we can do. This is very, not simple, but it's possible. And see how we elevate and what information we can transfer to the world leader. And then allow the soul of the world leader to return back to his physicality. And collectively, as all of us, we monitor the world leader, how he or she words, action, within the next 7 days, 14 days changes. I volunteer, or I suggest, I know who I'm going to bring it, and we will see how consensus will bring one of the world leaders to Let's through the dimension of the soul. You wanted an orange to be transferred. The daughter wanted to give apple pie to the father. And the father wanted to give the love and what care he has, and the daughter feels it as a touch of an. Would we be able to bring that touch and change the world leader? This is 100% possible. It's not probability. And let's see who and how we do it, and how the world leader will change. Options on the table are 4 or 5 people. One of the first people we want to bring change to the soul that speaks the truth and closes many chapters is the Pope. This is where is in the dimension of the soul, and many of us can reach. Some knowledge seekers in the past have tried it. The other person in the world of power and diplomacy, which we would like to bring to this, to me, if he still be in power to come is Putin. We have other candidate, King Charles III of the United Kingdom, to see if he would abdicate and brings an end to the monarchy. As all men have to be equal. The only king which should stay forever among the race of the man will be Christ. The fourth person, which I think will bring us a new dimension in bringing balance, is the new Italian Prime Minister, Mrs. Meloni, where far-right racism will come to be all races, which is in blood of the man. We listen to your preferences, and maybe we can bring all four in the 4 seats of the flight, with you as the knowledge seekers in the center of the room. We will announce what we call the elevation of the soul of the world leader session, and we carry on this for a week or two. And you are welcome to come in, and you're welcome collectively to change the soul of the world leaders, one at a time. And the reality will be, we'll see what we saw, what apple pie, and we saw with the love of the husband to be physically felt in the heart of the lover, the wife. And we'll see how we go for elevation of the soul and knowledge. One of the trials which we are setting up in the coming weeks is we want people who don't speak one language. We have a lot of them coming in, especially German. Yes, no is the only thing they know. And bring an English-speaking person. I know he wants to volunteer, he will not going to get it, to elevate the soul in a way of transmutation, and see if the German speaking become as fluent English as the. You transfer the orange, you transfer the emotion of the touch, you transfer the emotion of the apple pie, you transfer and transmuted the love into the physical dimension of the feeling emotion. That cannot be hard. Go to the transmutation and register and put out change of a world leader. Register. And then we bring 20, 30 of you in. Because we have to be a collective mass to be able to import and deliver all our wishes. Otherwise, the world leader becomes only 1 or 2 which are in the room. It'll be interesting to see how the soul of the Pope will interact with Charles, and how Mr. Meloni handles Putin. And how in this World Leaders Conference in Linz, we'll get the outcome within a few days, weeks, within the policy, within their work. Would Charles abdicate? And would Vatican see the last Pope? Would we see the far right becomes center line, and we'll see one of the most aggressive world leaders understand the love of the humanity, then you will understand why we even allow the situation in Ukraine to expand and extend, to show how we can change it from inside. It is not a trial to confirm the power, it's a trial to bring equality to all powers. And as you know, I always have delivered what I promised. We will book at least 20 of you to be in the room, that we get the international consensus to our world leaders, essence of totality. We'll open some of the satellite lines of those who registered, and we bring in some of the Universal Council members through the same lines. And then we create new world order, or new world condition that is peaceful, and the population decides the mindset of the world leaders. Because now it's not only Italians, the Germans have a say as much as the Iranians and the Arabs, the black, the white, and the rest in the running of the one nation. And in a way, you become the councils of peace. There's one problem with you who come in is there'll be no chair. You have to decide how you accommodate each other in this tiny little room to serve humanity. In a way, we start to function as one family, one nation, and the voice of every citizen through the satellite and through the Universal Council and those who are present in the room will bring that change. Register yourself and just put change obsolete. And our team will invite you on that appointed day to be. You meet the soul of the Pope and ask him why does he allow the views of children. You meet Charles and ask him why he thinks he's higher than the others. Ask only if the color of his skin is only a thought state. And then ask Mr. Putin, are you really aggressive? And when is this going to stop as human race is waiting to move on? We're still stuck in 20th century. Bullets and guns are the only thing you can think of. And see how collectively you decide to bring the next world leaders. In a way, the seat of judgment by their own soul. But you are there not to judge, but to elevate. It'll be interesting to see how your knowledge seekers come in to change your world leaders. The next set of people I'll bring in for the elevation of the soul is knowledge seekers' choice. Don't forget, we need to bring a religious leader, we need to bring maybe industrialists, and maybe the others who can bring that change and influence in the society. In a way, we rule through the soul of the man to make everyone to be servant to the others and not to be a king and not to be a liar in the name of the Creator. You've seen it in past week or two, in the past 3 or 4 months, how gently I have brought the knowledge to be and to be changed and to be accepted. And now it's time gradually to bring that change we came here for. Changing the world leaders to people of the peace and making one nation out of this planet by its citizens and not by those who think they can rule. Coming to an end in the next few weeks, register yourself and bring that change which we all been waiting for. We need to change those who think are leaders to understand they're equal to us, they're here to serve, and bring to an end to a lot of things. Vatican will bring an end to the what we call domination of religions. King Charles III will bring an end to the kingships across this planet. With Meloni, we end the racism, and with Putin, we end the wars. And nobody can change it except you. You have to be in that room to bring that change. Be prepared that when you commit, you come with a full understanding that the changes for the human race is on the shoulder of everyone. We try to do this by Christmas. And I wonder if we do this and we can change by elevation of soul of the Pope, would there be a false Christmas? And we just celebrate to be in peace, and we celebrate to be all as one race. And we don't need no fabrication, which is copied from one religion to another to control the man, both through his soul and physicality. I know what I'm doing, and I know where we are taking you to bring that peace around, to bring that change around, to bring that position that all men are equal, irrespective of color, race, and position. And then the hardest thing for human race will be that all creatures are created are equal, irrespective of position in the universe, and how they come as a soul of physicality. Let's see where we're going to take you in the next few weeks. And then let's see how many more of you are there to bring that change. We go for a break and we come back and we answer any questions you have. Before we go for a break, one of our knowledge seekers is not good health in hospital. We wish him all the best, and we wish him one of the fastest recoveries that will be out and be amongst us again. He knows who he is, and I wish him all the best for his recovery. Thank you very much, Rick. If you want to take a break, and then
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Let me get my screen up here and we'll get set up. Okay, thank you everyone for being here for the 452nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 29th, 2022. We'll take a few minutes for some commercial messages and Spaceship unit videos, and be back shortly for the second half with questions for Mr. Keshe.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A space technology that allows us to work with the fields of the universe, creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions. It allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the body can follow to find their balance and elevate the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
Okay, welcome back everyone to the 452nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 29th. And Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin the second half of our program?
Yes, here? If you have any questions, anybody.
Well, we have a question from Peng Peter to start off here. I'll remind our attendees first that you can raise your virtual hand, and a couple have come up here already. But I'll go with Peng Peter's question, who came up first in YouTube, who says, if a stone has a soul, can the soul of man and the stone together create a new soul? If that's the case, I wonder what people will think of marriage of the future and cross species and so on.
Marriage in the future on the physical dimension between the races of the universe, not all of them impossible, but some of them will be impossible in the physical dimension. But in the dimension of the soul, it is possible. Don't forget, if you go back, and I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, there are people actually married to a stone or an object. They take them to bed. There are quite a large number of them. And they live with them for years. Has the soul of the stone touched them? Or the balance between the two has created that balance? We do that in a controlled way because we don't want to be called a freak. We do it with our animals, with dogs and cats. We do it, especially women, with items of jewelry. They put it on for life. They never take it off. There's not something there. Every time they look at it, they admire what they have. So it's not an unknown fact. It's not something that what would happen is, would that condition create a new cycle of life? And would it be visible to us? Would it be tangible to us that we can compare it? Or it'll come to the point that we get touched by the soul of the fields, and we are aware of the presence of soul, but we cannot give what we call physicality to it. This is not something that it might happen. We see it. Just go on the internet. It's very interesting how these people live with objects, like a partner. And it is part of our life. It's not something unknown. And it will be something which happened. What will create out of it, if they decided, that's a different thing. When I listen to the German, you hear him, most probably they appointed Monday to record, when he explains how he could feel, and especially if he can make a live presentation, something he can do with the right recording of the voices and movies together, that how he felt the object. And if he fine tunes it, most probably he can tell you exactly the taste of it and how fresh it is. Did he feel the touch, or did he feel the soul? Oh, what was object in the mind of the other gentleman on the other side? You go to a fisherman in a fisher shop and you say, I want such a fish. Can I taste it first? Would he be able to give you the soul of the fish? Taste if you like. And then you see, if you really like to take the fish, and the taste of pleasures of his soul being touched gives you more pleasure than eating it. Would we do window shopping of the souls?
or would we do the window shopping of lives? If you've been to Porto in Portugal, some of the restaurants you go to, they got fish tanks in the walls, and you can choose the fish, what you want to eat. It's very common in China. We go to the fish market. You choose your fish, and then you choose your restaurant, and they cook it for you, your chef in that restaurant. If you go to Sanya in South China Sea, in Sanya City, there is such a supermarket of fish. Every fish in the Pacific Ocean, which can be captured, can be eaten, are in fish tanks in the market. You choose your fish, and then next door to it, they build tons of restaurants. And you say where you want the fish to be sent to, and the chef in that restaurant will cook for you. Because you chose your fish. Go to Sanya and see the beauty of China. And you understand there's much more to this country than anything else. But look at, would you walk around and pick up all these fishes to see that physicality on the plate, the way another man chooses to prepare it for you to enjoy that physicality? Or would you just walk and enjoy their souls? It will not be hard when we see the souls. We need no fishermen. And then we learn more about ourselves. And then we learn more about how the next cycle of life on this planet will be. Any other question?
Well, we have two hands up here with folks we know and love. John Blevin is number one. Go ahead, and then Dean will be next.
Hello, Mr. Keshe, can you hear me?
Oh, I can always hear you, John. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
What's new?
Not a whole bunch. Can you help me with this question by pulling up a whiteboard?
You want me to open a whiteboard?
Yes, please.
Okay. I cannot do it on this system. Just wait 1 second.
When you're able to pull that up, if you could draw.
This will be there in 1 second. Just wait, please. Okay, got your whiteboard.
Perfect. If you could draw five circles in a row.
Let me change the color. Then we can see. What color would you like it to be?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I'll give you red.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, in the first circle, we're going to put hydrogen GANs. So if you could put an H in there.
Yep.
In the second circle, we're going to put deuterium in a, I'll call it crystalline state. Crystalline deuterium. Next one, we're going to put tritium GANs. Next one, we're going to put the GANs of uranium. And then in the last one, we're going to put the gas from the methane gas from your system. So it's not GANs, it'll be the gas, the methane gas from your unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in each of these, if
what's the abbreviation for methane? Does anybody remember that? Anyway, I just put methane there. CH4 it is. but-
CH4.
CH4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
So, once we are able to let the soul out of the cage, and the soul can connect to each one of these balls individually, or these materials individually, just like when you create another soul with two entities, if you put the soul with the intention into, let's say, the H for starters, and we merge with the soul of the material inside the ball, and we put the emotion of love and with the intent to create a higher form of this hydrogen, for example, in the first one, then it's my feeling that we could create, and we have to create the heartbeat to make it dynamic, that we could create a plasma field, which would be a light field within each one of these. And the question then becomes, if we were able to achieve that state, then what would each of these balls be able to provide to us? For example, the first ball might create the ability to have an energy field of this, like a sun, where we could generate heat and energy from it. The second one, my feeling is that maybe you can create entire cities with it. The third one, you know, I'm thinking also you can create probably entire city, but with a dynamicism to it. In other words, rather than being static, it become more. With the uranium, you know, this is where I kind of
Bubble.
you know, it's of a higher order, but you know, I'm not sure what it is that you would create with you if you had that field of a dynamic plasma that's connected to your soul, that you're able to, I'll say, manipulate or interact with. And then the last one, I'm thinking that what comes out of that machine is a different form of plasmatic energy fields that maybe has a different characteristic to it than the GANs materials. So could you talk to those and tell me what you think?
Talk to them.
Am I on the right track?
You see, if you envisage the number of galaxies and the stars and the number of universes, the possibility of a life in such a state is possible. But the point is, what condition environmental allows such a life? And then what characteristics will this life will have? it's in heavy pull. So this, what you described here, shows the life will be somewhere near to the center of the galaxy. That heavy pull can hold on. This structure, what you chosen, is a type of life. The 4 elements of amino acid. Central gravity to hold on to, and enough to link into the universal energy field through carbon or carbon 14. So this life is extremely heavy from gravitational pull. Location immediately is somewhere in the cities, what you call in the centers of the galaxies. We see these kind of heavy element centers more towards the center of the universe, even heavier than this. You have to have that pool of fields that it can be holding on to your position within the center. These kind of lives are extremely intelligent. These type of combination allows, in a way, life nearest to the energy fields of the soul of the creator. Uranium is it's like a hydrogen in what we call periodic table. It's not a heavy element, but that's how we can put it. Combination of the fields makes life a different way. Such a heaviness of fields, if you are in the center and outer boundaries of the galaxy, creates you to be aggressive. Take, because you have a heavier gravity, it's like a cancer. You look for the metal, which can pull the amino acid. When you look at the cancers, you can, that's why in Keshe Foundation, we don't look at the blood test, we look at the elements. This life is extremely intelligent. Doesn't matter how or where it takes shape. That comes from stability of what we call deuterium, but the adjournments of the deuterium. And so you have an intelligent, active, and if you live in this kind of environment, as a new race I put down, on this planet we will call them super intelligent people, active, because the information on the sub-elements brought in through the interactions is a vast pool of information. Most probably human race will have no level of understanding of this life, because it's far beyond his imagination, the physical dimension, but his soul will. Creatures created in this condition should be very flat by this. and they are set to absorb a huge amount of radiation from cosmos. That comes from the broad spectrum of the division and the number of the neutrons within the U-235. To sustain it, you need to absorb a lot to keep the energy fields of the 235 in position in what we call where it should be. I can imagine how a creature will live, where it could live, and what we need to handle through its soul. It receives the more powerful energies from the center, and it pulls more powerful energies from out. And it's a, put it this way, human race will be a speck of dust in this environment. Even that is too much.
So is this CH4 methane, is that in a plasmatic state when it comes out of that machine?
What do you mean?
You know, the unit that you showed us that makes the methane,
Yeah.
is that plasmatic methane?
Yes, we always say that.
So if you were to utilize that, and maybe I'm mixed up a little bit. I'm thinking that we put, you know, our soul to elevate this material, but maybe we call forth the material of the universe of the soul of CH4 methane to merge with the gas that you created to elevate it. So you're not creating a person or a being, but you're creating a conscious material that has additional capabilities. Because when I'm talking H1 and H2, I'm not looking to create a person or being. I'm looking to create a elevated material.
This is what you call, this is what you put in there as a CH4. CH4 as a characteristics as a matter state only has a certain values in combination with the Earth gravitational magnetic field. But in space, as a plasma behaves totally different. And if you have created the shell around this to hold on that it creates a soul, I can envisage how the system will work in an interactive base. In an interactive base, if you look at it, this is the cycle of life. You have a hydrogen, you have a H2, you have a what I call H3, and then you have a CH4. You can see the base and you can see the top. This is an extremely active, what we call amino acid. In the body of man, this will create mayhem. 100% death within milliseconds. Just by the fields of it interacting within the structure of the skeleton. You have 16 times power of plasma in that direction. Ratio here is different. And the same ratio here is different. but about the same. This system will try to topple to create a base between these three and use CH4 as a feeder at the bottom top. You usually make your star formation that way. This will work this way. So it creates a different dynamism. It creates a different structure in the whole group. You got to understand carbon that becomes that due to 3 8 in a way if you look at it. When you look at the plasma, I was talking about this to our knowledge seekers recently. When you look at the plasma in the size, follow the volume rule. This could be 1 centimeter. This could be 2 centimeters. But do you know what is the difference in the volume? It's huge. It's not the ratio of 1 to 2. When you see a plasma of this size, the energy in this is vast compared to the energy in this, because it works on the gravity field forces. But in a matter state, you work on a volume. This is why when you look at the electron and proton, proton is so agile, electron is so agile and so small, but so dynamic, and so much more energy to give than the proton itself. We say is so much ratio 1 to 2000, while the other one has the other way. But in the plasma, the tighter the material is, the more energy it carries, the smaller it gets. But it creates a bigger field that it can capture the proton. You have to understand the whole process and not just by look at the dimension of physicality. You have to understand the dimension of plasma. As we say, it's not the size which counts. How much energy is in it, which affects it. I always said, I used to joke about this when I was a student, I still sometimes do, is you have a little toddler who's like a bullet, goes everywhere. And you have an old man sitting in the middle, trying just to watch and catch up. Even though he's much bigger and older than the little. It's the way the electron works. It's the way the energy transformation is, and it's the way the cycle of life in our process of existence has been. When you look at the plasmas and look what soul they create. Extremely powerful. So your creature, wherever it is extremely tiny, highly intelligent, and quite active. And the soul,
that explanation.
and the soul it has, it'll be amazing. You have, if you understood this part, now, You have to understand one of these characters here is 230, not 60. And then you can see the whole dynamism of the system.
Thank you for that explanation.
Trying to catch up with the speed of rotation, not to be pulled by heavy gravity. Then you can see the speed. Past the speed of light, 100%. Any other question? A new creature. What's next, Rick?
Okay, we have Dean with the hand up here.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for that. The new race of mankind. Mankind is.
It's not the race of mankind. This is the race of John.
I know where, yeah. So mankind was a collection of intelligent gases.
That's all we are.
That's all we are. Yes, I know. And as you get older, you come to understand this more and more. Mr. Keshe, going back to something you spoke about earlier on, the world leaders. The world leaders being present within the exhibition centre. We've spoken about this before many times. The actual position of a world leader walking into the building. Would it be that, Mr. Keshe, that the knowledge seekers, the UC, and all the beautiful souls that carry this knowledge, being part and inside the actual room itself, would have the field strength to that the world leaders would not need to actually come into the room?
We can satellite them. There's not a problem. But we have to show the change. Because if we don't do it, the reason I put it that way is, if we don't do it, then coincidentally something happens. You know, the human race, this is what I said to the knowledge seekers who come in. Once you leave the center, your new life just starts. And that new life is going to be joyful for some and hard for the others. And some go back to ignore it because this is how they were brought up. You'll find out your wish is my command. In a way, my command is your wish to the soul. I want to know what my sister is up to. And then the sister calls, because instead of dialing on the phone, the soul has made a call, your brother wants to know what you're up to. And it's, oh, I was just thinking about you calling, and you called. So we learn a new way, and a lot of knowledge seekers will have this problem. But the more you practice it, the more you interact with it, the more it becomes. You know, nowadays we have a command drive, or on your mobile phone, with different names. Apple has Siri. You say, Siri, what's the weather today? Siri, can you call so-and-so? Now, Siri is your soul. That's what you got to learn. No apples. It's all bananas. So, we can do that. But it has to be the Siri of all the human race collectively wanting peace to change the world leaders. I can do. as simple as drinking a glass of water. But what would a human race? Oh, this guy changed. Wait till the next one comes. You have to change the soul of the humanity, not just a world leader. And that's part of it. If you look today, in the past months, we've seen how many of closest people to Putin have been killed. And we see how many people closer to him, but opposition has been killed. Accidentally falling off a ship. One falling out of the window of the hospital. I never understood how people can jump out yet. We've seen the American doing today. The Chinese scientists, we're seeing the others doing it. And how come this thing suddenly started? Nothing happened 6 months ago. None of them killed themselves. Would we reach the soul of those who actually want or plan these things, be it the world leaders or the others? And this is the process of life that we got to learn. There are two ways open to us, plus three actually. Now you have a mobile phone, you can call electronic. We can do it physically. Now we learn the communication of our inner energy, we call it the soul. It's faster than mobile phone and does not carry the emotion. So when you tell a president to change, you can call him on a mobile phone, or you call him through the soul and change his emotion. So you have to decide. And we can do a lot of things, but humanity has to do it on its own.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. So to get humanity, the whole of humanity, to vibrate and to be a plasmatic condition where they all contribute the same, is that something that can be done through a social structure, or is this an interaction of the soul of man?
It's a combination of, there's not a single solution. It's a complex, human race is a complex race. It's a complex, what they call chemical mixing pot. First of all, people have to see, I told you yesterday, or the day before, I want microphones to record people inside the system. Very soon, we'll take cameras inside the system to see how the soul manifests themselves, to see how communicate with each other. Man has to see it. And then we see the discussion. When I listen to a lot of these recordings, prior to you getting your camera and microphone in their hand, I see so much, I get so much information that you don't even get it on your recordings. Some of it comes through the knowledge, some of it comes through the emotion, some of it comes through understanding of the soul. You sit there, you put your camera, you take a physical picture. They sit in front of me, or I stand in front of them. They talk, but I see the soul. And I know how much of the information they give me has matched to the soul of physicality and physicality. What do I need to change in there if I need to? Majority of the people coming out of the system, they don't lie. Because standing in front of me, I see both. Feel the emotion of it. And we have people who come deliberately to prove they they cannot be touched, or the system doesn't work on them. I had one this week. Because with it not confirming, not working, I say I'm more, oh, but I say, oh, my soul doesn't work. My doesn't this, I want to know what you cry at night with it. So it's us bringing amalgamation of all together to create new race of leaders. That all of us are leaders, not just one or two and a few with a big bank account.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. So what you spoke about when people have this thought and then someone phones them, we've all experienced this, or the whole of human race, I think, experiences this. So we all know that this conscious thought has a field strength that can manifest and touch other souls in on a soul level. So we all have this. So it's just about bringing about a field strength on this beautiful planet that brings it to a position where
no, it's the wrong way. It's the wrong way. The right way, I think, should be the recognition of it. When you recognize this power, when you recognize this potential within you, use the right way, then you can bring those changes you want. Realizing that that's the key. And it's how we perceive it or to fit us. One of the knowledge seekers sent me a picture recently, past few days, where there's a conference of the nuclear, what do you call it, annual conferences, whatever, in Vienna. And I never understood, when I looked at this picture, what Bill Gates has got to do with nuclear industry. This man is so power hungry, and now he sees, I can be something. And then what would he influence? He has a called complex structure with him. But why do we see a man who started in a garage, built up through his money the power base that now he influences all of our lives through our computers or whatever, gone into pharmaceutical to affect all of us through that? What has it got to do with nuclear industry? Which end of the atom this guy ever understood? That now he's there for what reason? And I call it, I can't even put a name to it when I saw the picture. But what is the game of this soul? And where are we going to see problems? Because wherever he's gone, he has created problem in his past. To own, it means to get involved. To be in it, to get involved with it, it means with the money I have, I dictate. Didn't he work hard enough some years ago trying to take over the Keshe Foundation? It didn't work. He sent his protege, the other guy, trying to butter us up to take over the Keshe Foundation.
Why does Mr. Keshe? Why does he need so much energy?
He doesn't need energy. This guy has a different agenda. Own. I have to own, because the first thing I took, I stole, so I can steal everything. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So he stole the technology of Microsoft from the Apple boys. He got away with it, so he's become thief by nature, because I can get rid of get buy everything now. I have that money, I can do. how he financed the biggest one of the mass murder guys to become the head of health organization. Anybody who calls about the ethic doesn't put such a man financing and backing unless he has evil intentions. And we saw what they did us in the past 2 years of humanity. God help man with this word picture we see in public.
Mr. Keshe, can we not change this condition with our thoughts collectively as one? And
this is why this is why we're setting up this for leaders. People have to learn it. They have to feel it. And they have to bring that change with it. And it has to be done by being part of it, being inside it, testing it, tasting it, and seeing the change of it. If you remember some years ago, we asked you to deliver the peace message to the world leaders, or you went to the presidential palaces and blah, blah, you did a lot to do. Now, they come to you by your decision as a collective knowledge seekers, that you deliver the same things on a piece of paper or an email directly to the soul. I promise you it'll work 100% better than your emails, all the letters you give to their office of the president, the kings and the prime ministers of your country.
That's so powerful, Mr. Keshe, what you've just said there. That
it is a reality. You have to.
I know it's the reality, but when mankind really understands this, through the ethos of the foundation, through the teachings, it's gradually getting out. However, when people tap into this, like to this very conversation right now, and they actually understand their true, the beauty that they have, then maybe we will, not maybe, in this moment we have this condition where we have no need for this constant conflict that happens for a few to have more. It's ridiculous.
You see, when all men be equal in the dimension of the soul, then the soul of physicality decides how this equal position will be achieved as the physicality is comfortable with it. You know, the ex-Shah of Iran used to have a habit. He used to dress as a common man and go to shops, to go to bazaar and everywhere, without anybody knowing him. And he used to do that quite often. To see how his people love him, how his people react, how his people live. Very few world leaders have done this. The ex-Shah of Iran used to do this habitually. He used to do it to see how people are. And every now and then he was spotted. People realized who he is. But what changes these things brought to his soul? And why do these people need to do this? To understand, to be able to be part of. And so it is what we want to be. When we call the end of kingship, oh, he's anti-Bolshevik, he wants, no, because we're all kings. When our souls are equal, when we understand the same thing equally in the soul level, is the physicality, it could be handicaps or whatever, who's the king? can we live with somebody which at soul level is the same as you? How come when it comes out in the physical dimension, he should be extra? A few European kings and queens go public, they take a public transport, they live like others. But still carry that stigma of being a king or a queen. But they try to be as normal, live as normal, and be part of the society to understand the society. Queen of, I think it's Denmark who's doing this now.
Mr. Keshe, a true leader, a true king, gives, becomes a giver. Just is not there to take from others and to receive. It's to give.
A true leader or leader live amongst his people, not separate than the people. And we have not had many of them in the life of the man. You don't lead from the front. You lead amongst, within. And always stay knowledge seeker, because you learn from every step. And that's how man will become to be. Understanding the knowledge of the creation will overtake all man's greeds for physicality. Any greeds will be going. Any other question?
Yeah, thank you very much for answering my questions, Mr. Keshe, and thank you for bringing this knowledge forward. And
I answer enough of your questions on the floor whenever it comes.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You got to understand. It's usually 2 or 3 of us on the basement floor when we do the flight test. Or if you have visitors, they're all upstairs. And it's Dean and me and maybe a couple of other people. We got nothing else to do. We just walk in this 700-800 square meter of property, waiting for the next change in the room or next person and the next case. And somehow here and there we ask questions or we do something or we pass part of information. But you gotta understand it's 7, 8, 9 hours sometimes in the same space walking and feasting. So to see what happens inside and what comes out of it. It's just like expecting expecting father being outside the delivery room, see what comes out of the room, what kind of animal will come, what kind of creature will appear.
Interesting times to follow, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
I hope so. I hope so. Any other question?
Thank you.
Okay. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A here from Carlos. It says, good day, Mr. Keshe, Rick, and the knowledge seekers. On the table in front of the witnesses, we have a star formation. I'm not sure what he means by that exactly. Could you talk about these MAGRAB fields and which GANs are used? We appreciate the guidelines. On the table in front of the witnesses, we have a star formation.
What is this one? Can you enlighten us?
It's probably a Spanish or Portuguese translation of witnesses in front of the. Is it the diagram, perhaps, on it, or is it?
I don't know what it is. What is it talking about? Which witness?
Star formation. You had a drawing of the star formation, perhaps.
Can somebody get to his soul and find it and bring back the message?
Yes. If you could clarify, Carlos, or we'd like to speak. Raphael's here. Maybe he has something to say about that.
Hello, good morning.
Hi,
Raphael.
Hello. So Carlos wrote here in our group, he's from Brazil. He would like to know about the formation that you have in front of the table of the people who are witnessing, who are giving their testimonies in the flight system. He noticed that have some guns in front of these people, of the German couple, and they are in a star formation. So he would like to know what kind of guns you have there, really in a star formation.
These are placed, I tell you how they're placed. They are placed more or less by the lady who cleans the center. Every time she cleans, she picks them up and put them somewhere. So there is no formation. We just put it there initially when we did the first setting. It's just random. And it changes every couple of days when she cleans the television section of the recording. So there is no formation. This has been brought up from upstairs from the, what do you call it, the showroom. And it's just to have something. Usually you have beautiful sculptures or something. And these bottles are a sculpture of science. There's no pattern. I'll ask the lady who does all our, what we call, cleaning, how she formed them. And she's not a knowledge seeker. Any other question?
Thank you for clarifying, because there's probably lots of speculation about that. Okay.
I think Dean moves them more than anybody else here and there. Because with Dean, everything has to have a right lights and everything, right position.
Yeah, Mr. Keshe, I'm always moving the lights, and yeah, those ganses on the table. I've noticed myself. I don't know why, but you've seen me many times. I go and sit there, and sometimes when I'm waiting, as you say, we've walked around in circles, and we're waiting for people to come out of the experience. And I go and sit, and I see myself sort of gravitating around these different ganses, and obviously receiving some energies from them as I sit in different positions. It's I've observed myself doing this. Yeah, it's an interesting position to be. Yeah.
Yeah, we just walk around, we move things. We got nothing to do. We got a bunch of people just hanging around. We move things till the next soul comes out of that room.
It's quite amazing, Mr. Keshe, seeing the physicalities there, and then knowing that the soul is unlimited, and knowing that they carry this wonderful, beautiful, incredible energy, and they're all being drawn like the magnet is drawing in, and this field strength is drawing in the souls into this position, and they're taking position, and then as you say, and then they're becoming satellite souls that are then going out and spreading around the beautiful planet Earth, this wonderful field strength that will bring about this wonderful condition that we have all in this moment have, and we shall have.
One of the things which comes to me quite often is that this is a knowledge that is, I call it a revolution in science, in technology. With the way we came and we got restricted by what I call certain governments, and for their own benefit, has allowed us to bring out, develop the technology amongst people
as they call, underground scientific structure, which when we show the first transmutation, everything else will blow out itself into total different dimension. So you people travel from all over the world to go to and see and feel an apple, an orange, or apple pie, or whatever. But the implication of when the technology is, as it's coming out, will be so strong that no government can hold it back. It's what we call knowledge growing openly, but kept under the surveillance of not being in public, but it's still growing. When you look at the number of people who come all over the world to Linz, and how they come, and the cultures they bring with them, we have touched every nationality and race on this planet, and our knowledge is what in there. And they are developing it, they are bringing it out, they're producing materials with it, they are doing all sorts of things with it. I have to stop for 1 second and come back in and receive the urgent message, please. If you can play a commercial for 5 minutes, I have to respond urgent.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. All right, let's see what we can come up with here. Five minutes of silence while Rick tries to find the 5 minute commercial
Will be better.
video here.
5 minutes of silence. Yeah.
Maybe. Let me see. I'll find something here that's. I've already played that. Not. That's too long. Okay, might have to have Salamia sing while I find the correct video here.
I'm back, so if you don't mind it.
That's good.
I'm back in. Sorry about
Save the
that.
day.
Yeah, save the day. Saved by the bell. No, something was urgent, which had to be done urgently. Any other question?
Hi, Mr. Keshe. I was waiting for you. I'd like to ask you if you'll be in a political power, what you'll do to get peace right now, taking into account the international context. I had a dream with a Secretary General of NATO, deputy, not the prime, and he asked me in the dream why I am silent and why I don't find a solution, because he's waiting for some solution from us. So now I make clear my voice, and I'm asking you because I am so interested in your wise solutions in the physicality, not only at the soul level, because at the soul level we know all this. If you have some ideas, we will thank you from the bottom of the heart. Thank you.
Entering politics is not our job. I've been pushed in past few months, especially from the sources who know what we do, to enter politics in Iraq. And especially in the past 2 weeks, I get more pressure it's the time, it's a mayhem, you can go back in and you'll find people who respond and they're looking for somebody to change. That's not our job. I'm not a politician. The changes, I come from a structure, I understand the Iranian politics and the wealth and whatever goes with it. But politics is not my place. I'm a knowledge seeker. And I bring the changes through the knowledge. And seeking for those who appreciate knowledge and they can use it to expand the peace and what we call unification of mankind. This is not the first time I've been asked to enter Iranian politics, and are backing me with billions of dollars. Always said, a man who enters the politics has ended his life. Because in the world of politics, you're as good as long as they get their way for what they want, and then you're a dust. So the world of politics has no meaning. But with technology and science, we create the politics. I always used to say, I have many, many friends in British Parliament and the House of Lords and in the hierarchy of the British. I lived there for 30 years and they're totally different levels. And I always used to tell the politicians, and they used to laugh. I remember going to the House of Commons, meeting one of them, and then I was with a couple of lords on the dinner table in one of these gentleman clubs, they call it. And I always told them, you are politicians because of us businessmen. We find you, we tell you what we want, we support you, and when you go in there, you're our servants. So knowledge people, businessmen, scientists who can influence it, actually put the politicians in the politics. If you can't pay for the advertising, if you can't pay for promoting a politician, politicians go nowhere. So as scientists, we decide, as men of influence, we decide the politics of the nations. But this time, we as scientists, collectively as knowledge seekers, we decide the politics of this planet. Scientifically, which is more powerful than actually going in there and sitting in the parliament and just shouting and nobody hears you. As many of you know, I've said it before, a ticket collector in undergrounds of London, because she inherited some money from her father's village in Ghana, became member of the Senate, Parliament. And one of the first things she did, she called me when I was in Ghana, she says, Mr. Keshe, can you tell me what I have to do as a member of Parliament? Where can I make the maximum money? I might be here just for one session. Can you show me where I can steal and get as much as possible? Now you see it. And then you have a president of a country who's been a security man in August in London. And now he's the king, or president, or was. So, terms is short. With technology, we can change everything permanently. And I'm not in the world of politics. If I wanted to get in the world of politics, the Iranian people have offered me a very lucrative deal. Come in, there's a mayhem, bring people together, you can do it. It's not my job. I criticize the government, I criticize the leaders, but that criticism is a positive criticism for not to go over there and is listened. One of our knowledge seekers was telling me, Mr. Keshe, everything you have suggested to the officials here, we see it happening. They're changing things as you advise. but we advise in the background to the other sides of the government too. I don't see what is happening in Iran the correct way, but you got to understand, if they don't do what they're doing now to the population, they won't be in power. They're fighting for their life. The Iranian leadership is not the riots on the street that they're trying to scupple. If they take over, they don't have life. We saw the same with the Shah. They came in the same way. You don't remember the riots, the students on the street? And they know the way they came, they're going to go out if they don't kill as many as possible. Is the survival. They're not going to suppress. And either way, many lives is involved, and I've got nothing to do where the life stands to be lost. Politics is not for me. I play enough politics with my teachings and changing a lot of things, but no, let the world leaders do what they like, because there's life. I've always said, they're here for 1 term, 2 terms, and nobody will remember them. They become a number, person number 40, blah, blah, or 10, or whatever. My technology will last for the life of humanity and beyond this place. And that's the true politics. When you can bring the true peace. Let them battle for the spoons afterwards. The plate with the food already is with us amongst us knowledge. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Any other question?
Yes, we had a question in the YouTube from Spear Front, who says there's millions of knowledge seekers in the world who cannot afford to go to Linz and assist with the changes that Mr. Keshe suggests. So,
first of all, we can accommodate millions, so no problem. The whole structure is set in a specific way. One day I'll explain. And soon we will explain. And even this, I had to go off the line and come back, was because of that change, that structure change which Keshe Foundation will bring. And it needs to be done step by step. There's a principle, I always live by it, and it's part of my life. When you give something free to someone, they have no value for it. And when you pay for it, you respect it and you stick to it. And when it becomes part of your life, you know how to handle it the correct way. And this is why we put it that way. People come, you see people come in as the right to be as knowledge seekers. So we're there because I am, and we've seen so many of them, and the mayhem they have created. And we see people who come in, they value their work for what they get and what they bring. It's not that you cannot afford it or it's expensive. It is always been what you pay for, you respect. And what is given is just another, what I call piece of toilet roll. People don't have respect for what they don't pay for. So this is a human nature. In the future, it will change. It'll come by the service, not by paying. But that's a different thing. Any other question?
Okay, question from the Brazilian community from Alexandra. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I would like to understand more about the opening of the cells. How would this opening of the cells that you mentioned be? Could you speak and define in more detail about this process? What happens when this opening of cells takes place? What is required for this to happen with the cells? Does it require a special emotion for this to happen?
Yes, it does. Human race could create this emotion of separation of the cells as they do with amalgamation of the cells. When you amalgamate them, you create cancer. When you create it, you can create separation or expansion, as friend said in the recording. When we create that fields of the cells together, a father creates a cancer for himself, or a mother for herself, or we create in different ways of it. Man, within the structure of his DNA and RNA, has a chemical creation and control of the use of that chemical created through emotion. And early men used to do it as a mammal. If you had a tail, you got trapped under a stone millions of years ago, you didn't die. You created that condition, you released the tail, and you made another one, the way some reptiles do. It's not exclusive of them. So to do that, you have to create what I call dilution of cells. Cells are magnetic fields. The way I told you many times, you can put a hand out and create a gold in your hand or light. You through the same emotion, it creates separation, expansion of the cells. You have to learn this to be able to go through transmutation. And then bring the fields of it that according to the environment of creates the physicality of. I transfer your soul cannot be touched. I transfer your soul of physicality, which is the energy of you. But when I transfer you in a physical dimension, the soul of the man, the soul of physicality of the man, in the interaction with the environment, dictates how the matter state, or what we call life state of the fields of the energy, will reset themselves. How suddenly with 2 hands and 2 arms, you'll have 4 arms and 4 hands on the moon or another position. It's still the same cell combination, still the same energy, but condition of environment. So it's a natural process. We have it in our RNA, with DNA. We just control it through technology. This is what I keep on saying, and I've said it many times. Up to now, it was theory. Now it's a technology, because it can be replicated. We can make machines to do it. So we can always open it up and do it somewhere else. I can put you in a left unit, change the environment on the right side, and get you as a fish out. But the problem is I have to find a water tank to put you in it. But your problem is, was it your wish to become a fish? We'll test this in the coming time. The new machines allows us to do this. With these machines we have now, we have a lot of limitations. Once the 2 new units and the other 2 vertical units come in, then we have a huge versatility in moving and creating condition of the destination. We can create condition of China and send a man from London to China, and he'll come out as a Chinese. He would understand the culture, he'll speak the language, and he understands everything, and he doesn't, in a way, the soul of him inside says, what's going on? Since when I learned Chinese, but I can't speak Chinese, I become looking Chinese. It's interesting, listen to what I said earlier on. The lady tells us she holds a mirror and she cannot see herself in the mirror. Through the expansion of the soul. A couple came in yesterday, they're so beautiful. I didn't have much time with them. I have invited them to come back in. But they live a life of, and the things they do with the plasma and gases is amazing. It was a pleasure to see them and see how they have evolved the technology to suit them. And she tells you, I hold the mirror and I can see, or I see in the mirror the light in the back of my head all the time. She says, I could see the light in the machine. Or the gentleman sees a coverage of that vision is not the true interaction of the soul. These are what is to come, and how we see the new technologies will give us a chance to do. If the world leaders know they cannot hide anymore because the souls bring them to justice, none of them will do wrong. And none of them will take up the banner of leadership because they're scared of what the souls might bring to them, or maybe the souls bring them to. It's in the writing of Baha'u'llah, bless his name. He says, the time will come that no one will take up the crown of kingship, as all men will be equal. And now, through technology and understanding the power of the source, we understand the beauty of the message. Because now we see as soul, we're all equal. When a leader says to his soldiers or those who execute his power, literally plow the men in the streets and throw them away like a bin, like a dust, like a fish. That's the time when there is no kingship. That's the time when you lost. And this is a message I got from Iran in the past couple of weeks to the armies. When you treat your citizens that you can be plowed and thrown away, you have to understand you must be very desperate to get in that position. You don't need to get into politics to change. They change it themselves with their own lack of understanding of what's going to happen to their soul. You don't need to drown a man so you drowned.
Mr. Keshe, Dean here again. May I ask you a question about, in the image that I see on the screen right now, I see this materials enhancement unit behind you. Is this technology been brought forward to be used? Is it available?
Of course. I think you took this picture, or somebody took a picture. And the manifestations of it is the gas power unit we show. We convert energy to gas. The gas, methane, and the others we show is a true use of this technology, but in a mini version.
How's that coming along, Mr. Keshe? Is that taking position?
We have we have produced it. It's just a matter of we're hoping past couple of weeks to be done, and there were technical problems, and they had to get help from outside to make some of the new materials to make it secure. And I think I asked yesterday, they need time to do it. The power unit is not producing the material, is the technicality of the new structure. It's not technology problem. It's just getting it right that it stays there, because it's coming to be very powerful. And what do you call it? It'll be shown the minute they finish with it. We can produce any kind of gases. It's just that the team in the lab have to get every day do one thing and something else goes wrong, trying to bring a new technology in with it. But in principle, as we shown, we can produce anything we like. And that's a conversion of fields into matter state. And then, because it's produced in the gas state, then the matter state has to decide how, through the soul of the man, is going to be used. It's very, very interesting. We haven't understood what this gas unit is yet.
I sort of understand a little bit of Mr. Keshe. So
it's a system with a soul.
Okay.
If you understand what it is.
Yeah. And the implications for humanity once it's released?
Many knowledge seekers have already placed order purchasing in this. But that's the implication of it is, yes, implication will be very huge, and things are not happening the way it should to happen. And then I look at it in a way that it's not the time for it. It needs a few bit of extra time. It's like what we all participated to support this funding, that the next change will come, and it's just taken nearly 11 months now we come to it. But you lot know about it for past 4 or 5 months. Many of you contributed towards it to come and around the foundation funds for it. And it's not happening because I sat and I looked at it yesterday. And I said, what the heck not? And then I looked at what this is supposed to do and what we talk about, this gas unit in the background. And then you hear about the explosions in the pipeline number 1 with Russia and Germany. The implication of that pipeline is the last cord you cut off the connection between the astronaut and the station. People have not realized what it means, this blow up of a pipeline in, what do you call it, between Russia and Germany in the past few days. Whoever has done it, we should look at it in a different way from Keshe Foundation point of view. With the technology we're putting back in, it makes, and going through German government and others, would stop kingship to fuel and energy. It pushes for these new technologies like ours to come into public, because they're expecting, understand, the government's 130 billion has been promised by British government to support with the fuel problems. Now we see more in other European countries. Germany is bending backwards. When I'm waiting for one tipping point, and when that tipping point comes, it was even when I went off the line, now it's part of that tipping point. When that tipping point comes, I will change the running of the nations in Europe with a flip of a finger. And you knowledge seekers in Germany, in France, in Italy, will be spearheading this. You'll be spearheading this beyond your imagination. And I explained this to a couple of knowledge seekers, what I'm going to do. But if it would have happened 6 months ago, it would have had no influence. If it happened 2 weeks ago, it still wouldn't have been there. The time is coming for it. As part of the way we do the space technology, we get into that tipping point of the technology to bring the change. And whoever blew this pipe out, in a way, is whatever stupid thing they've done with it, but it's part of the overall soul of the change to come. It might sound stupid to you, but it has so much truth in it. 5 times, 6 times, some nations 9 times the energy cost compared to last year. Food crisis, because of the energy prices, gone up 3, 4, or 5 times. People can't afford it. Can't afford to heat. The pipeline is cut. Can't afford to feed because the prices are going beyond. And if you lived in England, like Dean, many English people will tell you, this is a talk of the town every winter. How many old pensioners who live on the pension die in England because they can't afford heat, or they have to live on the blankets and in boxes in the winter time because otherwise they can't afford food. And now the Western Europe will plunge into it. Asking me who blew the pipe are the Americans. Asking the Germans is the Russians. Nobody will be benefited by this pipeline blow up than the Americans. Now the West has to rely on all the fuels, gases, and whatever, and the food which comes from US. They've done it in the Second World War. Now the whole of Europe is encapsulated in it. And understanding that British policy transfers into American policy as their soldiers, then you understand BP will control everything. So, 2 ways. And I'll explain this. We are waiting for that tipping point. And I'm sure you knowledge seekers in the rest of the Western Europe will thank you for the knowledge you carried. Just waiting for that change. In about 30 days, 60 days, we'll, if it happens the way we want, we'll bring it up.
Mr. Keshe, many souls, many people that are in a position where they're experiencing discomfort because of the conditions being created, would ask the question: if the technology is there now, why would it not be just brought? Why do you not bring that intention forward in this very moment? And
you did not. You did not respect us when we gave you the magraphs. You did not respect us when we gave you the others. Bunch of abusers. So we choose the time. If you're not hungry, I put the most beautiful dish in front of you. You're not hungry yet. You will be nothing. When you're hungry, I put a piece of old cooked meat in front of you. It will be the most delicious food. And the West has to go through this. Has to go through this. It's part of the change. None of the things you see happening is just coincidental.
So the West has to go through this to pay back the balance? Is this what you're saying?
No, not the West. The whole world is paying for this. The only place you get a free gas is in Iraq, as I call it. But the whole of the humanity is going through this change. The guy in Africa in the jungle has no care how much the tomato is going up and what heating is going to be. Gas is going to be 10 times. It matters to the Western world, and Western world is keyed up for that change to bring in to change. One of our knowledge seekers from Australia called me a globalist. No, we are a playlist. We know when we play that is fair for everyone. And we learn it from you. And I've told you many times, there's not time for it. And the thing is not going to happen. I was telling you yesterday, what's supposed to happen yesterday about 3 o'clock didn't happen. Today, we're waiting for it to happen. It's not the right time for it, because when it comes, it'll be the switch time. And I know we're preparing everything for it to be in that switch time. It will not happen one day earlier or one day sooner when the rest of the structure is set up by the source who are there to do it. You give the knowledge we gave you. What all of you have done with the backgrounds? Nothing but to harm us. So this time we make sure you don't harm yourselves.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for this question.
Isn't it 12:20? Is there any questions or shall we call it a day?
Sounds like you'd like to wrap it up. How about one last question from the live stream? It's a Pope question. What do you think would be the reason for the Pope suddenly to command all money from the Catholic communities all over the world to transfer all funds back to Rome? Is that a valid question, or is that an exaggeration?
What do you mean?
I've heard rumors of that, or some sort of regrouping of the finances.
Has the Pope been to the casino last night and lost everything in the casino? But which casino did you go to? Yeah, what they call it, the slip has been called in.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about this, but you have to understand these people on the name of religion do a lot of other things. We have a good connection into Vatican. You know, we hear a lot of things which are not supposed to be heard most of the places. You got to understand why, if they do it and how they're doing it, or they want to collect before it comes the end of them, at least they all have all the money in there. There is I don't know if you've seen it or not, there's a picture of wealth in Vatican. And you know, you have a pile of coal you put in the fire, put the coal in. There are pictures from parts of Vatican which gold coins and jewelry and items are stashed away like coal. He just sent the bulldozer to see how much he brings into the shovel to take it out and spend it. Literally, there are places in Rome, within the Vatican, which gold, which you respect and you put it on your ears or necklace or so much value, they shovel it. And now you have to ask how much more they want to shovel. As I said many times before, every time you see the Pope going somewhere, you see the plane of the Pope landing, walk around the airport and see how many cargo planes have landed to waiting to be loaded, go back to Vatican. When the Pope goes to Brazil, when the Pope goes to what you call it, Far East Asia, to Thailand and the rest in that part, there are 6 or 7, 10 sometimes cargo plane, jumbo jet cargo planes sitting on the runways, waiting for as the gold is transferred. And that's the way Vatican collects money. If they call everything to come in, maybe the Pope has lost a little bit too much last night in the casino.
Okay, that's
close. There is another side to Vatican, is that first of all, Vatican doesn't hold much gold reserve because he has transferred it all to Germany, to Berlin. Secondly, they see problems in the Western Europe, in the Catholic syndicate, what we call EU, and they need that to back up the second round of poverty and the problems that the Christian community doesn't change. There's a big problem, a huge problem, and I was explaining this yesterday and the day before. In the West, people who live in Asia and the rest, they don't understand this. It's beyond your comprehension. In the West, Western Europe, or most of the Western Europe, we call it what used to be Western Bloc, not Eastern Bloc. There's a large community of immigrants to whatever they come in. We've seen it clearly in the last two elections, especially in Italy. The far right has taken power. If the time goes rough, the first people they blame, as we've seen in the election of Italy, will be the foreigners, people who are non-Italians, non-Germans, non-English, and the rest. And we'll see they become the target of a lot of harsh time. And I see that coming up. And Vatican encourages these harsh times. And to do it, they need to siphon money into the natives in a different way that allows them to become racist towards others. This is 100% of the card. We saw it in the elections in Italy and the past 2 or 3 elections around Europe. One of the fairest conditions governments, countries will see will be United Kingdom in respect to, even there's a lot of racism in it, compared to what's going to handle and is going to accept to stand by. Secondly, England is an oil gas-rich nation. Will not suffer like the rest of Europe as such. But you will see this coming up in a very short time. Vatican, the way, if you remember the crisis a few years ago, when the island, the Portugal, the Spain, and then the Greek went into a financial nosedive. Suddenly, out of nowhere, everything was good because Vatican didn't want to bring change in the Catholic Union of the European community. And then they paid for it afterwards. We saw the gold going to Berlin, to Rothschild. So they're collecting for that loan to collect later on in a bigger portion to go to, when they go to Berlin. That could be one of the things, but I haven't heard about it, but it's part of the way they do it. Thank you very much. Okay. There's something I've heard. A number of you artists are approaching Keshe Foundation and to do artwork and send it to us to sell or to promote in the sale in the shop or in the Keshe Foundation store. We are looking at all of this. We have accepted a number of paintings from these artists. We are looking for sculptors who use gas technology in their sculpture. Artisans is anything which you use it that can be done, and we support you. And now we start selling, and even this week they received commission on 4 paintings to be done by our knowledge seekers. So if you want to carry on with what we started, we can support you. I know knowledge seekers were sending their pictures or paintings through the post now to come to Linz that he was going to go for display, and now we have to open it because these paintings are becoming more and more. And other sculpture work, any unique work you do which works with the gas, it doesn't need to be wood or glass, it could be anything electronic which actually works, and the artisan, pottery and that kind of thing, we can support you. And it's something we have expanded into to support the knowledge seekers to have a living from knowledge they have. And there are new pictures I think you will see coming up in the next few days into the shop as the paintings arrives and it gets categorized into the things. And if you want any painting to be done, or we have a sculpturist who wants to sculpture something with the gases or whatever, you make something handmade, still there for the Keshe Foundation to support. Thank you very much for today. Thank you very much, Rick, for everything in the background. And we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Once again, this being the 452nd of the Knowledge Seekers Workshop series. Been almost 9 years now of these continuous every week workshops. And congratulations on yet another. And thank you very much for your work that's happening, both in the foreground and in the background. Okay, that'll wrap it up for today's show. If there's any further questions that people have, please carry them over until next week. And speaking of next week, we have coming up, let me get the calendar arranged. Yes, we will be into October. October 4th will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And that starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time. Okay, I think that's it for announcements. And thank you all for attending today's workshop. And we'll see you in the next public teaching. We'll go out with our, what's now become one of the icons of our movement, the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. And we can do some clapping and dancing to end the show with. Bye for now, everyone.